So the debate between what sort of First Amendment free speech rights green card holders and visa holders have has been heating up online. And I want to share with you one of the sentiments of those who think they should not have the same rights as American citizens. I want to share with you this sentiment. This comes from Melissa Chen. And Melissa Chen is a VP at Strategy Risks board and co-founder of Ideas. And this is what she says. She's a green card holder. She says, as a green card holder, I had to sign papers from my immigration attorney acknowledging that he had explained to me the consequences of participating in any political protest, including signing petitions. So I didn't even know that. I didn't know that if you're a green card holder, your attorney would sit there and say, by the way, you have a green card. You need to know that you're not allowed, you might face consequences if you participate politically in any sort of protest. If you sign petitions, you could be targeted here in the United States of America. She says, we also had to submit all of our social media accounts for scrutiny. I changed my profile picture to one where I had on I love guns and Jesus t-shirt and I hate commies baseball hat just to remove any doubt. Just kidding. It was a Stars and Stripes bikini though. Can you imagine being caught on camera wearing a keffiyeh and saying you support armed resistance of any kind? Most Americans understandably have no clue as to how many conditions are attached to permanent resident status as they are born into it. This process is important for green card applicants because it proves that you want to assimilate to the American way of life. The 5-year conditional status is also a great filtering mechanism for which prospective citizens have enough self-discipline to at least wait until naturalization before engaging in any political activity. This is a base level test for the kind of immigrant you want. If 1A is allowed to trump immigration law, do you even have a nation? So I understand Melissa Chen's point. There is some merit to this idea of, we want to vet green card applicants and visa applicants, more importantly, green card applicants, because these are the people that are saying, I want to live in your country permanently. I want to eventually work my way into American citizenship. Visa holders just might be here temporarily for a job, and then they have no intention of sticking around. So really for the green card applicants, I understand her saying, look, this is how we ensure that we get immigrants who want to assimilate to the American way of life. And so we have to put conditions on them. But should the condition for assimilating into the American way of life, now what is the American way of life? Free speech, right? We believe in our freedoms. So should one of the conditions to find out whether or not you can assimilate to a country of free speech is to not allow you to have free speech? Does that make sense? So somebody actually responded to Melissa Chen in her thread about that. Omar Batter says, I think it's fine that you choose to be hyper cautious, but to suggest that the green card process is an attempt to filter who has the discipline to avoid exercising the First Amendment is a very strange idea when America's selling point to immigrants is that it's the land for the free. So, right, why would you selectively want to find out, all right, are you able to keep your mouth shut? And if so, then you can become an American citizen where you can have your mouth wide open. I mean, how does that even make sense? So Melissa responds and she says, of course, it's an attempt to filter. America doesn't just let anybody in. It's not a free for all. Right. And a lot of people have that sentiment. It's not a free for all. You can't just be allowed in. Right. But what are the types of people we're trying to keep out? What are their values that we don't want them into our country? We think they can't assimilate. Free speech. Is that one of them? You're not allowed to say the things you feel. You're not allowed to politically protest. You're not allowed to sign a petition because then you wouldn't fit into American society. I mean, that seems pretty darn bizarre. Also, so this obviously is all revolving around the students that are being rounded up. More students have been rounded up lately. Columbia had another arrest. There's been some students have been self-deporting because they were part of protests, and now they're leaving the country, and people are cheering it on. You've got American citizens who are sitting here saying they're for free speech, and they're cheering this on. And they're thinking, well, we don't want these people in. We don't want people who like free speech, apparently, in the country. Here's Marco Rubio doubling down on this.
That we will continue to look for people that we would never have allowed into this country on student visas had we known they were going to do what they've done. But now that they've done it, we're going to get rid of them. And we are continuing to look for that.
Do what they've done?
And so in the days to...
What is it that they've done? They participated in a protest. So here's Marco Rubio. He can't even say what exactly they've done. He just says, do what they've done. Okay, did they commit a crime? No, they didn't. Did they commit an act of violence? No. Did they send monetary or support or weapons support to Hamas? No, they didn't do any of that. They engaged in a political protest. So now he's just saying, do what they did. We don't want people here who did what they did, who protested. That's the type of people we don't want, because that's against American values.
You should expect more visas will be revoked as we identify people that we should never have allowed in because they lied to us. When they said they were coming here to be students, they didn't say they were coming here to occupy university buildings and vandalize them and tear them apart and have campuses hostage.
Okay, but that's fine if you're going to charge them with a crime. If you found them committing a crime and you're going to charge them with that, then that's one thing. But he's just saying these things, and yet these people haven't been charged with crimes. They've been charged with speaking against a foreign country, not even against America. They're not burning American flags saying we hate America. No, they're speaking against a foreign country.
If they had told us that, we would never have given them a student visa. Now that they've done it, we will revoke those visas. And as the days go on, every time we have a chance to revoke them, we will, because it's not in the national interest of the United States for them to be here. So let's wrap up.
It isn't? How does criticizing Israel have anything to do with the United States? Have you realized how bought off our government is yet? How subverted it is? I mean, this is just so blatantly disgusting for them to say you're not allowed into our country if you criticize a foreign country. And not only that, it's worse because we're willing to completely go against everything that we stand for. We're willing to go against the American value of free speech, all for the sake of Israel, all to protect Israel, to stop the criticism of Israel. That's what we've got to do. Ben Shapiro, he's one of the biggest champions of what's happening here. Here's a guy that was banned from speaking at universities. Students protested Ben Shapiro's appearances. And so, of course, he fought against that, saying this is wrong. We shouldn't be having this sort of censored speech at universities. University says, we don't want you here, Ben Shapiro. We don't want your hate rhetoric. We don't want you here. And he was banned, and he spoke against it. And he actually lobbied our lawmakers, telling them that they should be protecting free speech rather than censoring ideas they do not like. But where's Ben Shapiro now?
So let me suggest that as a legislature, your chief job is to ensure that my taxpayer dollars in this state go toward making sure that people like me and people with whom I disagree get to speak in places like college campuses, and not toward regulating what speech you find good and what speech you find bad, because it's a really dangerous business, and there's speech I don't like, there's speech you don't like. But if we can't agree that there is a difference between speech and violence, we're not going to be able to have a free state, let alone a free country. Thanks.
Except when it comes to Israel. That's the one exception for him. You're allowed to have all the bad ideas you want, according to Ben Shapiro, and he'll support you in that, except if you criticize Israel. And then suddenly he's no longer in support, and we should round them all up, and they don't have any right to be in this country because having a visa or having a green card is a privilege. And so you should understand that here in the United States, we don't want to hear any of your bad ideas. We don't want to hear any of your protests. We don't want any of that, because that is free speech is against America's values, apparently. Well, only when it's criticizing Israel. Thanks for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show, which has a new show time. Catch the full Kim Iversen Show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Head to KimIversonShow.com. See you there.